and then I'll get that over to Jeff for distribution once it renders itself. So, first of all, thank you all for joining us tonight. This is going to be our third annual rules clinic. It'll be a PowerPoint for River City. It's the third year I'm doing it. Let's get started here. So we're going to do this on Wednesdays, with the exception of the week of the 27th. We're going to do that one on Thursday the 30th. So all the dates that we have on are here. We're either going to do them at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, depending on what time the meeting goes out for. This is in preparation for the rules test. This rules test is open. If you have not opened your rules yet, feel free to. Your rules test on Arbiter Sports. It is open until February 17th. That is midnight on the 17th. Do not wait until the 17th to submit it. Do not wait until 11:58 to submit it. Make sure you submit it early. There will be rules test questions here that we go through. Past rules test questions, this year's rules questions. If you have a question that you're stumped on, ask somebody. Email me, email Rob, email Jeff, email Terry. We're all here to help you. You have all the help in the world. There shouldn't be anybody that fails this test. If you're unsure, please ask. 76 is a pass, 74 is a fail. If you don't get a 76, you're not eligible for varsity. So we've got to get a 76. Without any further ado, let's get started. So, rule changes for this year. There are two rule changes. They're not big rule changes, but you likely will see them on the test. One of them has to do with it just changed some wording that resin, pine tar, or any other drying agent is permitted on the bat in a specific area. I have not picked up my rule book yet, but I believe it's 18 inches. If somebody can correct me there, if I'm wrong, please feel free to.
That's correct. There's actually an informational video on Umpire Classroom about all that stuff as well. If you're curious on YouTube.
Thank you, Michael. Umpire Classroom is a great resource, by the way.
Yeah, they posted two videos, one of the points of emphasis for this year and one on the rule changes. Like 10-minute videos, very short.
Yes, they are short and sweet. Again, you likely will not come across this in a game. Just know it for the test. The other one is a forfeiture. It cleared up some terminology on who was allowed to forfeit a game. Basically takes it out of the umpire's hands. Doesn't mean that you can't put a stop to a game, but it just means that we can't actually award the forfeit. Points of emphasis outside of sportsmanship, which it lists every single year. One of them is the use of authenticated mark program balls. I do have a section in here that goes through these in detail. We'll go through what you're looking for. If you've been in any training class with Dennis Mitchell, check the baseballs. He will be the first one to ding you on that. So make sure you check the baseballs. Points of emphasis is also pitching position. A couple years ago, they started to allow the hybrid pitching position. There's a very specific set, whether you are in the windup or hybrid or the stretch. So high school doesn't technically allow hybrid by the names of hybrid, but you're either in the windup or the set position. So it's just a point of emphasis. We will go through this when we get to the pitching clinic. Pitching rules, I think, is in 2 weeks. Bench decorum. This is more of things along the lines of bench jockeying. I'm actually going to give you exactly what NFHS says on this. Bench decorum, sportsmanship. Good sporting behavior is about treating everybody with respect and exhibiting that behavior, being fair, honest, and caring. When those appropriate behaviors occur, everybody enjoys the game a little bit more, right? So they're reminding the coaches to set the tone. Again, this is just sportsmanship. Cheer for your team, not necessarily against other people, right? I personally don't allow them to address the other team, especially by position or by name. They can cheer for their own team. Use of props. So again, according to NFHS, I'll come back here for a second. There's no logical purpose to have props in an education-based event. It doesn't enhance the value. So they don't want props on the field. So no signs, no props. They don't want them to be there to demean or embarrass their opponent, right? So just keep things in line, keep things sportsmanship. For example, no planting a flag in the middle of somebody's football field.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next point of emphasis is improper use of communication equipment. So last year there was a rule change. They did allow the one-way electronic communication devices. One way from the coach to the player, not back and forth. So they just want to ensure that that's happening. Again, some of these schools don't necessarily have the best equipment, so they may have a radio. A radio is fine as long as they're not communicating back. Okay, just one way. Okay. And then I put the link here for everybody in case you need it. I simply just Google NFHS baseball points of emphasis. Any questions about our rule changes or points of emphasis this year?
Steve,
Yes.
what's the punishment if we catch him talking back to the coach?
You're gonna make me get my rule book out. I believe it's a warning and then an ejection.
They can continue to use the device or they have to change it?
They do not have to take the device off. Unless it is a clear two-way communication device. So if it is a clear two-way communication device, make them take it off.
Yeah, but how am I to know that? So if I catch him talking back to his coach, I give him the warning. I just have to make sure he shuts up because they're like, I mean, I don't know what these things can do. I don't know which ones are which.
The rule book answer is going to be if he's talking back to the coach and you catch him talking back to the coach, he's going to have to take it off. If I'm not
Okay.
sure, I'm just going to tell him stop.
I got you.
Right, but for the book, they have to remove it.
Okay, I got you.
Any other questions? All right. Moving on. So I do follow this in rule book order. So if anybody has your book, you can just follow this through. So starting off with players, field, and equipment. So only a team captain and head coach are permitted to communicate with the umpire. However, we say it every year, be approachable. Don't be the person who just doesn't allow anybody to talk to them, right? It's like assistant coach says, hey, Blue, how you doing? Say hello, how you doing? You don't need to be a jerk. Okay. At the time of the pitch, all players need to be in fair ground except the catcher, and 1 foot is considered in fair ground. The 1 foot considered in fair ground is usually a big thing. Why is that a big thing? I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of, well, that first baseman balked because he wasn't in fair territory. If 1 foot is touching that line, he's in fair territory. And if he's not, don't balk the pitcher. Tell him to get in fair territory. Okay. Yes, this is a test question. The on-deck circle is on the side of the offense. This has been a previous test question. And the ball must meet NASCE standards. And we'll get into this here in just a minute. A little bit more detail on this. But that ball must meet NASCE standards. I will show you pictures of what we're looking for. That ties back to our points of emphasis as well. Catcher's helmet and a batter's helmet must also meet this standard. This is an example of that NOSCE stamp. It can say NOSCE High School or can have this symbol. That is what we're looking for when we check the baseballs. They must have this symbol or must say meets NOSCE. Okay, so either of these are valid. Any questions on that? Check the baseballs when the coaches give them to you, and check everyone when it comes back into play. One thing, just reminding everybody, plate meeting, make sure we ask the coaches, are your players legally and properly equipped? It's probably more for the new guys than some of the veterans. We probably hear this in our sleep as veterans, but new guys, make sure we're asking the coaches, are your players legally and properly equipped going into the game? Players, field, and equipment continued. The dugout may be temporarily extended. This is a big one because not all schools like to follow this, but may be temporarily extended, but only in a line towards the outfield and in a line parallel to the home plate. What does that mean? Here's a little diagram. You can extend it out. You see the little green box there? You can extend it out that way towards the outfield. You cannot extend it out towards home plate or out towards the field of play. It must be down towards the outfield, parallel to the foul line, or parallel, in a line parallel to the foul line, and it must be the same on both sides. So you can't extend it on one side and not the other. This has been a test question for at least 3 years in a row.
I got a new guy question for you.
Go ahead.
All right, so I see the diagram. I saw that on my test. I've already taken the test and passed it. I have no idea what that means. Like, is that just where the athletes are allowed to stand and not actually be in the dugout? I had no idea.
No, so everybody, when the pitch is coming, must be in the dugout. They're not allowed to stand outside the dugout when the pitch is imminent. They're not allowed outside the dugout really at all. But this is out of play area. So they can't extend it towards home plate and make it out of play. They can't extend it towards the infield and make it out of play. They can only extend it towards the outfield and make it out of play. Does that make sense?
I mean, I understand English. I don't know. We might have to talk offline. I don't get it. Like, what effect does that have on the game? I guess maybe. Or how do you extend it? Like, is it a hypothetical thing? Is it like the construction zone? Like, I don't know.
Well, construction zone I would call out of play always, but a coach can't say, hey, what this is trying to prevent is the home team coach saying, hey, I want to extend our dugout down another 30 feet because our dugout's too small. So, but I'm not extending your dugout. That's what that's preventing.
They basically saying where he's at there, bud. It is a dead ball area. It's saying legal to do that on the diagram, but it is a dead ball area. So depending on what happens, catch and carry, ball gets in there, then you got awarded bases and all that stuff. I think maybe that's what he's trying to ask Steve.
Okay. Yeah, it does come.
You have to have the white line on it. They need to have it lined out.
It's got to be the same on both sides too, right?
Yes, it does have to be the same on both sides. It is the effect of it, Michael, is if they extend the dugout, where that dugout is extended to is out of play.
Cool, thanks.
All right. Moving on. Bats must have a stamp or sticker with the BB4 logo if it is metal or composite or whatever else they make the bat from, unless it's wood. Wood bats do not need the stamp. But composite, metal, whatever they make it out of that isn't wood must have this stamp. Okay. Non-wood bats must have a knob, a handle, a taper, barrel, an end cap, and a safety grip. That is usually a batting tape grip, right? You'll see this probably once a year where the batting tape is coming off. They've got to have batting grip or tape or something on that bat for some grip. Okay? Yes. Okay. Non-wood bats must be less than 2 5/8 diameter and not more than a drop 3. I'm not measuring them. If somebody asks, you have to look at it and determine, and it will tell you what the thickness is. It may not be more than 2 5/8. I don't think BB Core actually authorizes anything more than 2 5/8, but it also must be a drop 3. It's all kind of tied into that BB Core. BB Core isn't anything but drop 3 either, I don't think. Is that right, Rob?
I mean, they have BB cores that are, you know, whatever they use, whatever age group, but for high school, it can't be no more than drop 3.
No. All right. Penalty if they walk into a box, into the batter's box with an illegal bat. No, an illegal bat is different than a damaged bat. I would consider not having a safety grip or a safety grip coming off damaged. Go fix it. An illegal bat is a non-wood bat that doesn't have BB core. Okay. If they enter the box with that bat, they are automatically out. Okay. If it's found prior to the next pitch and the batter reached base, the batter is out and the runners return to the base occupied at the time of the hit. So, for example, if he walks into the batter's box and it's not found, runner on first steals second, then he hits a double and scores a run. Then it's found out that he had an illegal bat. The runner will go back to second, not first, because that steal of second did not have any bearing on that bat. The defense can choose to take the result of the play instead. So if he grounds into a double play, defense probably going to take the result of the play, still enforce the penalty. Any questions? This rule 1 is usually very short, so we usually get through at least 2 rules this first night. All right. All right. First series of rules questions. A team only has 8 players at the field. A, the game cannot begin until the team has 9 players. B, the game may begin if the head coach verifies the 9th player will be at the game soon. C, the game may begin with an out called each time that spot and batting order comes to bat. Or both B and C. Anybody want to take a guess?
The game cannot start until they arrive.
That's correct. They must have 9 players. Cannot begin until the team has 9 players. That rule reference is 413. Okay. All right. Rules question number 2. When the dugout area is temporarily extended, the home team may only extend its dugout, not the visitors. It may be extended towards home plate if agreed to by everybody. It's never illegal to expand the dugout, or it shall be extended towards the outfield on a line parallel to the foul line, equally applied for both teams.
D.
It is D. We just went through that. Good job. Okay, the rule is 1, 2, 4. All right, rules question 3. Umpire jurisdiction begins on the umpires arriving within the confines of the field, when umpires arrive in the parking lot prior to the game, at the pregame conference, or when the plate umpire starts the game by announcing play.
A.
Any other opinions?
Pretty sure it's D.
It is umpire jurisdiction. This jurisdiction begins upon the umpires arriving at the field within the confines of the field. So the answer to this question is A. Really, what this means is when we go to we walk onto the field to either walk the field or to have our pregame conference 5 minutes before the game. That's about when our umpire jurisdiction begins, approximately 5 minutes before the game when we walk on that field. Okay. All right, playing terms and definitions. So this one really sets the stage for the rest of the book. We'll refer back to Rule 2 quite a bit. Intentional base on balls may be given by the catcher or the defensive head coach at any time. Okay. They can be a 3-0 count, could be a 3-2 count, can be a new count. At any time they can ask that. Pitches do not need to be thrown, and the ball is dead immediately prior to awarding the bases. So coach says he wants to put him on, gives you a 4 signal, you call time, and then award him first base. Lodged ball. A couple of years ago, there was a new rule clarification on a lodged ball. The rule in question is 244 here. The definition of a lodged ball is a baseball that remains on the playing field but has become wedged, stuck, lost, unreachable. That is all a lodged ball. If the ball impacts any object in the course of play, stops abruptly, and does not fall or roll immediately, it is considered lodged and a dead ball. What does that mean? Or what do we do? The penalty here is 1 base if pitched, 2 bases if it's a hit ball. Okay. So, examples of a lodged ball. I know this is a tennis ball, but if a ball gets stuck in a chain link fence, this is a lodged ball. This is lodged. I know they can grab it and pull it out. That is still a lodged ball. You still need to award bases. This is a lodged ball. Okay. This is also a lodged ball, and we'll watch a video here in a minute. This is a lodged ball. I think the only places we have padding in any of our schools are behind the backstop. If a ball gets stuck between 2 of those pads or gets stuck lodged underneath, it is a lodged ball. Okay. Here's a picture of one stuck between 2 pads, all lodged balls. This on the right is also a lodged ball. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to be able to move on its own. Okay. Also this one. Okay. They need not to throw their hands up. If they don't throw their hands up, it is still a lodged ball. Okay. So let's watch an example. This is from Close Call Sports. I love this channel. So let's watch this. Let me make sure that you guys can hear my audio. Okay. All right. So here we go.
Hey everybody, it's T-Mac from CloseCallSports.com. This video is brought to you by the good folks at Out West Officials. Check out their latest promo code exclusively for Close Call Sports subscribers, CCS10. That's CCS10. It gets you 10% off your next order at OutWestOfficials.com. So we have a combination teachable moment, ask the youthful here. When worlds collide. It's the bottom of the 8th inning. It's Milwaukee and Miami. It's a 7-3 Brew Crew lead. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. There's nobody on, 2 outs, and a 1-2 count. So on this play, we have Chris Siegel behind the plate, and it's a quickly complicated play because we have a wild pitch and a check swing. And in this situation, when the ball gets away from the catcher, as the home plate umpire, you want to do what Chris Siegel does right here. And that is you immediately ask for a check from the umpire The first base umpire has a swinging strike, so that gives the opportunity for the batter runner to go to first base. But oh no, Chris Siegel gets his head to the baseball quickly and sees the ball is lodged, and by rule, time is called, and the runner is awarded first base. And if there were any other runners on base, they would have also been awarded one base. Milwaukee challenges the ruling. It's confirmed on replay.
After review, the call is confirmed. The ball was lodged. Whatever's awarded first base, Milwaukee loses their challenge.
So apparently the Brewers have lost their challenge as that ball was lost.
Let's take a look at what happens here. The ball just gets lodged by rule underneath the padding. And so Siegel immediately asks for the check, gives the swinging strike mechanic out to the side, and gets his head to the baseball right in the nick of time. This is the kind of play that if it happened so fast the umpire didn't get his head to it, it could have been sent to replay anyway. But a couple of you asked us, is this the kind of thing that just should be let go by the umpire? The answer to that question is no. The umpire sees a lodged ball, you call a lodged ball. Because
Right? So that's an example of a lodged ball. Right? So you see a lodged ball, you call a lodged ball, you're not supposed to ignore that. Okay? So, any questions on this?
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
At the plate meeting, when we go around the ball field, those questions need to be asked to the coach. Will the ball get lodged? Do you agree?
I like asking him the question is, can the ball get lodged there? Yes, I like that question. I wouldn't explain the rule, but I would ask him, can the ball get lodged there? Yes.
Yeah, and just to go back, from the pitcher, it's one base. From everything else, it's two. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
And for the new guys, that was a great example, not so much, that it involved a large ball, but how you can have two different things happen, bang, bang. And that umpire was on both of them.
Hmm.
That's all.
Yeah, Chris Siegel's a good one up there. All right. Any other questions here? All right.
because if this went
Moving on.
Sure.
All right. Continue on with playing terms and definitions. A catch. This is always a topic of discussion every single year. The definition is very clear. The catch is an act of a fielder in getting secure possession of a ball with his hand or glove of a fly ball in flight. Okay. One thing that we can use as umpires to determine if it is a catch or no catch is a voluntary release. If they voluntarily release the ball, it is always a catch. Okay. So, for example, center fielder's up, tries to catches the ball in the mitt, and he's got a kid tagging up, transfers it to his bare hand and drops it. That transfer is a voluntary release. Okay, he's voluntarily releasing it from his glove to his hand. Okay. That's the definition. That's it. If center fielder catches the ball, takes 2 steps, hits into the wall, and drops the ball, that is not voluntary release. There is no amount of time that is prescribed to say he must hold on to the ball for this long. Okay, you're looking for voluntary release and secure possession. That's it. Okay. Foul ball. Foul ball, ball that settles on foul territory between home and first or home and third, or a ball that bounds past first or third on or over foul territory, or a ball that first falls on foul territory past first or third, a ball that strikes a player, umpire, or a foreign object while the ball is over foul territory before touching the ground, a ball that touches the ground after inadvertently being called foul by an umpire. This is why we wait to call foul balls. We don't call foul until we're sure it's foul. Ball needs to stop. Ball needs to be touched. Ball needs to touch something. Okay. If you call foul and it lands fair or rolls fair between first and third, it is still a foul ball. It is an inadvertent foul call. There's nothing you can do. It's foul. A ball that hits the batter in the batter's box, a hit ball that hits the batter in the batter's box is a foul ball. And a ball that hits the ground or home plate and then hits the batter or the bat that is held by the batter while the batter is in the batter's box. That is big terminology there, is the bat is still held by the batter while the batter's in the batter's box. Okay. A foul ball is a strike unless there were previously 2 strikes. Okay. Standard baseball there. A foul tip. I wish we wouldn't call it a foul tip because everybody hears foul tip and they think it's foul. A foul tip is not a foul ball. A foul tip is a batted ball that goes directly to the catcher's hand or glove and is legally caught by the catcher. Okay. The ball is live and it's a strike. Do not say anything when you have a foul tip. You give the foul tip signal and signal for a strike. That's it. You will have 2 or 3 coaches this year that say, well, he fouled it off. No, he didn't. A foul tip is not a foul ball. Okay. If a foul tip happens with strike 3, or sorry, if a foul tip happens with 2 strikes, strike 3, batter's out. Okay. Any questions on foul tip? All right. Let's talk infield fly. An infield fly is a fly ball with runners at first and second or first, second, and third. It can be caught by an infielder with ordinary effort. I think we've spoken about this before. Ordinary effort changes if it's middle school, JV, or varsity. Also changes on how windy it is. Okay. There is no requirement that it is in the infield. Okay. There's no requirement that it's in the infield. It can be in the outfield. It can also be caught by an outfielder. An infielder does not have to catch an infield fly. Simply, can an infielder catch it with ordinary effort? Once infield fly is called, runners advance at their own risk. If the ball is caught, they must tag up, and the batter is automatically out. Okay, so infield fly ball with runners on first, second, or third can be caught by an infielder with ordinary effort. Batter is automatically out. The runners advance at their own risk. At the middle school or JV level, when that ball falls, all hell is going to break loose. Okay, I promise. So just know the infield fly rule. Any questions about infield fly before we get into some examples, some very famous examples? Okay, so infield fly examples. So this one was back from the mid-90s. Let's watch this one first.
It's your craft.
Hey, what's going on, man?
On swings, and it's a pop-up. Out in front of the plate. Out goes the catcher bear. They end up letting the ball drop. But
Third game. Yeah.
the bear is going to just cross the plate. He's standing away from the plate, and he takes the plate, and he scores. He's not know the rule. Now Aurelian goes to the third goes Grissom.
Ours is gonna start.
Anybody in the field knew the rule.
I asked the AD, if it goes the right
The
time.
infield fly rule was in effect. Bonds was immediately out.
Perfect.
Please mute your phones.
Plate, and Frank Robinson comes out of the dugout and does not say a word to the umpire, walks over to his players gathered around home plate, and apparently told him, stop arguing and learn the rules. They picked up that ball and they stepped on home plate. Nathan Perez had come down the line himself, apparently not knowing the rule, and he.
All right, so notice the umpire held his finger up, said infield fly. You didn't hear him, but he said infield fly, batter's out. One of four people could have easily caught this ball with ordinary effort, especially at the major league level. The catcher, the third baseman, the pitcher, or the first baseman who is slightly off screen. He called the infield fly at the apex of the fly ball. So at the very top of the fly ball, he calls infield fly. Then, remember I said about middle school kids, JV kids not knowing the rules? These guys didn't know the rules, right? This is not a forced play. When that batter is called out, nobody is forced anymore. So them stepping on home plate does nothing. Okay. Even the runner was confused until somebody told him to touch home. Then he touches home and the umpire calls him safe. Okay. That is a very, very simple example of an infield fly. So moving on, probably have some discussion on this one. This one was a wild card game, probably about 15 years ago. Cardinals, Braves, I believe. If you're a Braves fan, you probably definitely remember this. Might even still be a little angry at this. But regardless, let's watch.
At Harbor Freight, we
Watch
do
your ad
business
first.
differently from the other guys. We design.
Simmons, back is Cosmo.
All right, so I'm pausing it here for a minute. Okay. Remember our definition of an infield fly. We've got runners on first and second. We've got less than 2 outs. We've got ordinary effort from an infielder, right? Ordinary effort doesn't really have a definition, but we usually go with the infielders camped under the ball and squared up, right? So at this point, and we'll get into it in a second, the umpire actually calls infield fly when he is here. That's when the umpire calls the infield fly because he felt this was ordinary effort. We could disagree on that, but he called it and felt it was ordinary effort.
This crowd's been crazy all night. I wonder if it affected their communication.
Let's watch. They're going to show a replay. And we'll watch it in full motion.
Well, this is a huge call here.
And don't listen to the announcers.
And the field fly was called immediately. This is a game-changing decision. You know, this is what happens occasionally when you add extra umpires down the right field and left field line. You have extra umpires. Sometimes you have extra calls. The infield fly rule is a call. It has to be a call where the infielder has a legitimate chance to catch the ball without a whole lot of effort. Base runners are on their own when the infield fly rule is called. The batter is out. An unbelievable call here.
So watch the umpires when they make the call. The left field umpire, let's watch that one more time. Watch when this left field umpire makes his call. Bang. Okay.
It's not good. Fans are throwing stuff on the-
We're supposed to call it at the apex of the ball, right? That's our goal. If we don't call it at the apex of the call, it doesn't make it not an infield fly. Okay.
Steve,
Yes.
the discussion when the coach comes out to verbalize his opinion to the umpire. In your judgment, what is the umpire telling the coach?
In my judgment, it was ordinary effort by the shortstop.
So it is a judgment call.
It is.
Are you verbalizing infield fly or just going with the pointing?
I'm verbalizing it. I'm usually verbalizing it twice. Infield fly, batters out. If fair, infield fly, batters out if fair. If it's close
So
to the
something, Steve, something happened in the video. The shortstop reacted to something. Either the outfielder calling him off or he's hearing the umpire. Would you agree?
I would agree. You're probably right there. He probably did hear the umpire and thought it was I got it.
Hey, Steve.
Yep.
Couple of quick thoughts, if it's okay, for the
Yep.
new guys. Why do we wait until it reaches the apex? Let's say it's a windy day and you call it on the way up and the wind carries that ball and now no infielder can catch it with ordinary effort. Number one. Number two, ordinary effort is age dependent. You're never going to make that call we just saw at a middle school JV and a lot of varsity games. You're not going to have an infielder at high school level be able to get back. And this is what I've always done. If you have, it's dependent upon whether the infield is playing in for a play at home, so they're playing on the grass versus playing their normal position is going to impact that ordinary effort judgment. Would you agree?
Yep. That's also why when the ball gets hit, let the fielders take you to the ball. Don't look at the ball. Watch the fielder. Watch his effort. Not the ball. The fielder will take you to the ball, I promise. Any questions about infield fly? All right, let's move on. Playing terms and definitions. We will go through interference and obstruction in a little bit more detail later. However, we're going to set the definitions now. Interference can be offensive interference. It can be umpire interference. It could be spectator interference. It could be follow-through interference. It could also be backswing interference. There are differences between follow-through and backswing. Okay. A follow-through is when the batter's warming up, rocking his bat back and forth, backs and hits the catcher. That's follow-through interference. That does not come with a penalty. That comes with, sorry, I just got them confused. That is backswing interference. When he's warming up, backswings, hits the catcher, there is no penalty. We call time and reset. Follow-through interference is follow through the swing that interferes with the catcher. Okay. We'll go through that a little bit later on follow-through interference and examples of that. But it is considered interference. And if there is follow-through interference on a stolen base attempt, we have interference. Okay. Offensive interference. Offensive interference can be physical or verbal. It doesn't, you do not have to have contact. It can also be verbal. Okay. It must interfere with, obstruct, hinder, impede, or confuse any fielder attempting to make a play. Notice, it does not say that that obstruction or hindrance needs to have contact. You do not have to have contact to have interference. Okay. When a runner creates malicious contact with the fielder with or without the ball, in or out of the baseline, it is interference. It is an immediate dead ball, and that runner is ejected from malicious contact. Okay. The penalty for offensive interference is an immediate dead ball. The player guilty of interference is out. Again, malicious contact is interference, and malicious contact is also an ejection. Any questions about offensive interference definitions? Okay. Umpire interference. Happens rarely, but it happens, and we need to know how to enforce it. When an umpire inadvertently moves that hinders a catcher's attempt to throw. The most common of this is when a catcher goes to throw down to second base, reaches back, and maybe he'll hit your chest protector or something like that. Okay. It is a delayed dead ball. If the catcher throws out the runner anyway, we're going to ignore the interference and let it stand. If not, we're going to call the play dead. We can't call ourselves out. We put the runner back and we resume whatever count is the count after that pitch. Okay. The pitch counts. You just put the runner back. Okay. You can't penalize the defense for that.
And be ready, because here he comes.
Yep.
That being the coach, guys.
It is also umpire interference when a fair batted ball touches an umpire. This definitely happens a couple times a year, usually. And it's usually on one of those ripped balls. So if it happens in front of a fielder, the batter runner will get first base, and all runners will stay at the time of the pitch unless they were forced. Okay. It is also a dead ball. If it happens behind a fielder, other than the pitcher, the ball is live and in play. Okay. When a thrown ball touches an umpire, it is a live ball. We are part of the field. The only time it is not is if it becomes lodged in your equipment or uniform, or there's a video out there of an umpire taking a foul ball and the ball ends up in his pocket, like his shirt pocket, which is kind of crazy. And those are considered either caught in equipment or uniform, and will award bases accordingly.
Do you have that video, Steve? That's my boy Derek Malika. Do you have that video?
No, but I can get it.
All right.
Five 265 as he works Wilson Contreras. Strike one. So the first pitch was foul. Where did it go? Easter egg hunt. A little late.
Right into his pocket.
Yeah, that happened in one of the college regionals. I think was it last year? That's the video I thought you had, but that's about the same exact video.
Yep. Now foul ball, it's clearly just a foul ball, right? But generally speaking, a thrown ball that touches an umpire is a live ball. Okay. Ball can get lodged, if a pitched ball gets lodged in a pocket like that somehow, it is one base. If a thrown ball from an infielder or outfielder, it gets lodged in an umpire's equipment or uniform. Not really sure how that would happen, but it would be two bases. Okay. We also have spectator interference. So we usually don't have this come into play. We're usually pretty tied up with chain link fences, and it's not the Major League Baseball, so they're not reaching over the fence trying to get the ball. So, but it's important for us to know the rule. So it's an act by a spectator that impedes the progress of the game. Penalties: spectator interference with a fly foul ball, batter is out, and it is immediately dead. Ball in flight, fielder has to have a chance to catch the ball, right? If they are on their side of the fence, all is live and good for them. Okay. If a player reaches over the fence and a fan touches the ball before he does, it's just a foul ball. So it's on the spectator side of the fence. Okay. Spectator interference of a fair batted ball. The umpire has jurisdiction to rule the appropriate amount of bases to nullify the interference. Is an immediate dead ball. Again, probably not going to see this in high school ball. Important for us to know, this has been a test question in the past. Rule enough bases to nullify that interference. Generally, it's 2. Could be more, could be less. Okay. A spectator interference with a fair hit or foul hit that is caught or prevented from catching by a fielder when a spectator reaches into the playing field. This is the Dodgers-Yankees Mookie Betts play, right? That's spectator interference. Okay. Again, it is not spectator interference if a fielder reaches into dead ball territory. Follow through and backswing interference. Follow through interference, like I described before, was when the bat hits the catcher after the batter has swung at the pitch and hinders action at home plate, or the catcher's attempt to play a runner. It is a delayed dead ball because if the catcher still throws out a runner, that runner is still out. We're going to take that probably hurts more than calling the batter out. If the defense puts the runner out on the first attempt, interference is ignored. This is also a test question. Okay. It's very important. The first attempt. If the catcher launches the ball into center field after a follow-through interference, and then they throw him out at third, well, that was not the first attempt to put out a runner. We're going to enforce interference. Okay. The runner would return to the base at the time of the pitch, and the batter is out. If the batter is already out on strike 3, that runner is also out. Okay. And backswing interference is when a batter contacts the catcher or catcher's equipment prior to the pitch. Okay. Like I said, there's no penalty here. The umpire just calls time, allows players to reset prior to putting the ball back in play. Okay. Any questions about interference? All right. Obstruction and fake tags. Good way to remember this. Obstruction is on the defense. Interference is on the offense. Most of the time. Okay. It's an act by a fielder that hinders a runner. That is as simple as it can be. It's an act by a fielder that hinders a runner. That fielder, if the fielder has the ball, they cannot be guilty of obstruction if the obstruction happens when he has the ball. Okay. A fake tag is obstruction. You will probably see this a couple times, especially at the JV level, especially early in the season. Fake tag is obstruction. A fake tag also comes with a warning to the head coach, and the next player that does so is ejected. That head coach knows the rule. I haven't come across any of these head coaches that don't know the rule. All you have to do is warn him if it happens. Tell the player, don't do that. And then you go to the head coach, say, this is your team warning. You cannot do a fake tag. It's obstruction.
Steve,
Yes.
make sure the home plate umpire records that.
Yep. Absolutely. Inning and situation. Okay. A fielder without possession of the ball denies access to a base that a runner is attempting to advance is also obstruction. The penalty for obstruction is a minimum of one base from their last occupied base. For example, if a runner gets obstructed going back to first base, they get second. It doesn't matter what direction they're going. Okay. Be ready for that defensive coach to come out. He's coming.
Steve, continue this if the runner tries to take another base. Please finish this statement.
I'm getting there. Umpire has jurisdiction to award additional bases to nullify the obstruction.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Carl.
Oh, thank you. So a runner is attempting two bases and a fake tag occurs.
Mm-hmm.
He has not obtained second base. Did he get third?
He was
And a fake
obstructed
tag.
before getting to second base. I'm only giving him second. However,
So the
depending
second
on the
baseman's fake
situation,
tag.
I may give him third.
All right, so if the ball's still rolling around the outfield, then you're giving him third, but if the shortstop has it, you're keeping him on second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Again, that is a judgment call. Okay.
Steve,
Yes.
the runner is guaranteed the next base.
Correct.
But if he on his own tries to go further and then he gets picked off coming back to the base, what is he?
If you were not going to protect him to that following base, then he is out.
Do they understand that?
Do you guys understand what Dennis just said? You only protect him to the base that he's guaranteed. If you give him second and you're not protecting him to third, the moment he gets second base, that protection is lifted. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay. As I said, it could be going towards or back to a base. It's still one base from the last occupied base. Obstruction can be from anyone on the defensive team. Okay. Obstruction may be verbal, and it can be intentional or unintentional. It does not have to be intentional. It can also be verbal. Okay. Defensive obstruction. A catcher or defensive player that hinders a batter is obstruction. This is called interference in other rule books. It is technically catcher's obstruction. If you call it catcher's interference, everybody knows exactly what you're talking about, and that's okay. Okay. The most common type of catcher's interference is when a batter swings and hits the catcher's glove. You will probably see that at one point. It is one of the weirdest things ever. If you've ever been a batter and happened, it's weird. Okay. Or penalty, delayed dead ball. The batter is awarded first base and the runners return to their occupied base at the time of the pitch. However, the offensive coach or captain has the choice to accept the results of the play. So, there's also another exception. The runner is attempting to advance at the time of the catcher's obstruction on a squeeze or a steal play. The runner is awarded the base that they're attempting. If the batter runner reaches first base and all runners advance one base safely, we ignore the interference or catcher's obstruction, and the offensive coach has no option. So let's talk about a couple examples. Runner on second base, 1 out. Batter on the pitch, the runner is stealing third. Batter swings, hits the catcher's glove, fouls the ball off. The correct ruling is the batter runner will get first base. That runner on second was stealing at the time of the pitch. He goes to third because he was stealing. If he was not stealing, he would stay at second. Okay. Another example. Runner on second. Catcher's interference. Batter swings. Grounds out to third base. Throws him out at first base. Now there's 1 out. Because that batter runner was thrown out, we're going to call time. It's catcher's interference. That batter's going to go to first. That runner at third goes back to second. The head coach of the offensive team has an option. We do not tell him he has an option. He can come out and say, nope, I much rather have this runner on third with 1 out because so-and-so is up next and whatever. They can take the result of the play. The third example, runner on second base, nobody out. Batter runner hits a home run. Everybody advanced 1 base. Batter got first base and all other runners advanced 1 base safely. We're going to let the play stand. Okay. And the final example is we'll use the same runner on second base. Catcher's interference. Batter hits a double or hits a ball into the gap. He touches first base legally. Runner on second touches third base legally. That runner scores. Batter runner is thrown out at second base. Did that batter runner reach at least 1 base safely? Yes. We ignore the interference. There is no option. Okay. Any questions?
Would it be the same if the runner got thrown out at home too, since he advanced his 1 base or whatever? He's not protected at home then?
That's correct.
So Steve, that runner on second, and we have the interference, and that runner was stealing third.
Mm-hmm.
The base umpire is not going to see that. His back is turned. The plate guy is going to be focused on the pitch, but it's his job to see it all and to see out of the corner of his eye that that runner was stealing third.
If the defense is doing their job, everybody's going to hear he's going.
True.
Right. And generally, you can hear him going. You're usually close enough that you can hear his steps that he's starting to steal. Maybe some of us, but some of us may not be able to, but generally, you know. Any questions about this? Before I move on and go to another video. All righty. Obstruction versus interference. Also, this is Close Call Sports. I love these guys, if you can't tell. Okay, so let's watch. We're not going to watch. This one is, I think this one's 2 minutes. So I think we'll watch this whole thing. There are a couple here that are longer.
Versus interference, an extremely basic overview, just so you can tell the difference. In general, the offense interferes and the defense obstructs. We're not talking about running lane, catcher's bat, doesn't matter. We're just talking about the very simple interference and obstruction differences. Here's everything you need to know. All else equal, during a batted ball, the fielder has the right to field it. So when this happens during a batted ball, that is interference. Why? Because the fielder was impeded, here are your definitions, by the way, from fielding the batted ball. We're going to go to the video and you're going to see again that the fielder has the right, per the rule, to field a batted ball. The runner goes in front of him and impedes him from doing that job. He's not able to make a play on the ball. Why? Because of the runner. That's the definition of offensive interference. Obstruction, on the other hand, occurs not during a batted ball, during a thrown ball. The catcher standing in the way of the runner trying to score. That impedes the runner's progress. So, because that's not during a batted ball, that's obstruction. Here's another type of obstruction where the fielder is supposed to, after missing the ball, become invisible. That's what the rule wants. The rule wants the fielder to go away. So when the runner trips over the fielder, remember the runner creates his own base path. That is the definition of obstruction. Now, if you're astute, you notice the first one was obstruction A and the second one's obstruction B. That's more complex than we're going to get into. We're just talking about, simply put, that on a non-batted ball, the fielder impeding a runner obstructs that runner. So let's get to the title card that tells you the general rule. In general, interference results in time, out. Obstruction can result in either a time or an award or keep the ball alive and nullify the act. To find out the difference, visit us on closecallsports.com. Look at our video rule book that tells you awards and penalties, such as the difference between the two types of obstruction, A and B, or 1 and 2. And
All right, so we're high school, so we don't have A and B obstruction. Or obstruction is or delayed dead balls. It's only that one type. But any questions about the difference between obstruction and interference there? We try to keep that, that's a really quick definition, tries to alleviate some confusion. But I do want to stop and ask if anybody has any questions there. All right. All right, overrunning or oversliding. The runner has a right to overrun first base. We all know this. That's what they do. You're allowed to overrun first base on a walk. Okay. Why? I don't know, but you are. Okay. The runner must return immediately. They can't hang out in right field for 30 minutes, right? The runner may not make any attempt or feint towards second base. If they make this attempt or feint, they are liable to be put out. Okay. That attempt or feint to second base is their attempt to go to second. Okay.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
So just for the new guys, you glossed over it pretty fast, but now you can go past the base on a walk. That was a rule change about 3 years ago or so. So for somebody that's doing this new for the first time, but you played baseball, that's not the rule that we all learned growing up, that if on a walk you took a step past the base, you could be tagged out. Not anymore.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on, let's watch an example, right? You can see by the thumbnail already, right? Still pictures don't tell you everything. However, turning left is not an attempt to second base. Okay, so let's watch.
There's DIY.
Another ad.
And there's doing it yourself.
Hey everybody, it's T-Mac, and this is a Close Call Sports Quickie brought to you by the folks at Out West Officials. We're focused on Quinn Wilcott on this play with a runner on first base. At third baseman fields the ball, throws to the shortstop for one, because that's the error win in baseball. And the overthrow at first base. And wait a second, Quinn Wilcott's got an out. Why does he have an out? Because Alec Thomas turned towards second in an attempt to go to second base. As we see the replay, the overthrow, Wilcott keeps his eye on the ball and the runner for a split second, but he sees Thomas turn. Thomas tries to get in fair territory, like that's the inbounds mark. What I love about Wilcott here is he gets into the keyhole and makes sure he's able to see the tag in case the play develops back into the base as a whacker. Visit us on the World Wide Web at closecallsports.com and use our socials on Discord, Facebook, and Twitter.
So what he called here was this little feint. And I'll try to.
He's able to
pause
see
it.
the tag in case.
This little jab step towards second base. That's what he called. That's an attempt. That's a attempt or a feint. You go to second base. That jab step. If he didn't jab step, he's allowed to turn left. That jab step is an attempt. Okay. And this is Christian Yelich getting very angry and eventually getting ejected. We won't watch the whole thing, but we're gonna watch the. We're gonna watch the attempt to second base here.
Really, Mark, pitching inside very well has been Freddie Peralta. Yeah, and he's missing barrel at bats because of that and the heavy presence to throw inside. He hits India with the first pitch here of the 6th inning. That was inside. We have a double. Come on, 3-2 pitches.
I'm gonna kind of skip along here because there's a little bit of an ejection going on.
We'll move on to the main event in the bottom half of the inning.
And here's a bunt down the third baseline, and it's a good one. The throw is going to be Yelich will stop right where he's at. It's hanging to see if he made a move. Wow. John Luke at first base umpire said he made a baseball move to second base, and now he's going to be ejected. Everything I saw there has been good. The first base coach is trying to get in the lead here. Yelich has been ejected.
Couple things right here, right? I'm going to point out. This player is very animated. We do generally probably not going to have to deal with the player being animated like this towards us in high school. So let's kind of replace him with coach. Notice the other umpire came and took him away, right? Once that ejection happens, he comes over and takes the coach away. Even if there's not an ejection, if that argument is going on too long, or the like one of your pre-games can be, hey, if I turn around and try to start walking away from this coach, I need you to come intercept the coach and bring him back to his dugout to try and avoid an ejection, right? We're not out there looking for ejections. We do them when they're deserved. But if there are things that we can do to alleviate the situation, so I don't have to do paperwork at 12 o'clock at night, and call Terry or Rob or Jeff at 11 o'clock on my way home, I'm going to do it, right? So just wanted to point that out, and they'll show a replay of his attempt to second here.
He just stopped running, never moved to his left.
Really? Well, I guess we'll see the replay.
The time to see if he did, because he'd be out, and calling him out is John Luca. You know what, Don? I saw a slight change of direction going towards second base. Okay. Well, that's what Lucas saw, too. A frustrating year plus for Yelich. This is kind of boiling over now.
Yeah, this might not be one of the most popular rules, but we're here to analyze rules as written, not rules as we think they should be in the future. That can be a separate discussion. If the runner attempts to run to second, the runner is out when tagged batter runner. This is overrun protection at first base. You lose the overrun protection when you make a move.
That left foot right there, that little half step. We'll watch that again. Watch Yelich's left foot in this jab step.
Protection when you make a move towards
that
second,
one.
attempt to advance. The overrun protection is only for staying at first base. But as soon as you make a move that indicates you might go to second, you can be out when tagged. Still images. Yelich's starting position, Yelich's ending position. If you believe that Yelich's ending position was to the left of Yelich's starting position, you could have an out for 509D11. That's what Lipka called.
So it is a judgment call. Okay. Any questions about that?
Personally, I am not going to grab something that slight at this level.
What about the one on the left?
I don't know. I have to be there. Probably not. I don't know.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Remember who you're talking to.
I know.
It's an attorney.
Stop it.
Everything is black and white.
And the video, he did say we're not here to try to figure it out. The rule. We're here to enforce the rule that's written.
Yep, we are here to enforce the rule the way it's written.
That one on Yelich is sketchy, but it's definitely a feint. The other one is definitely a go.
Yeah.
Yep. Now they can see this very easily because they got 4 umpires. So on those overthrows, we're starting to, think about running inside. So we may not actually see it, but it's kind of keep in mind we're in 2-man system. These guys are in 4. Okay. All right. Legal slides. This is a big one. Yep, go ahead. Johnny, were you saying something?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Legal slides. This is a big one. Legal slides are feet first or head first. A legal feet first slide, and I had to put this in here because yes, it's been a test question. Is at least one leg and one buttock on the field and must be within reach of the base. Okay. The exception to this is a runner may slide away from a fielder making a play for the purposes of avoiding contact or altering the play of a fielder. That's the exception to sliding within reach of the base. An illegal slide is a rolling cross-up, cross-body, or pop-up slide into a fielder. You can pop-up slide. You cannot pop-up slide into a fielder. If the runner's raised leg is higher than the fielder's knee when the fielder is in a standing position, that is an illegal slide. Except at home plate, the exception of this is a home plate, when a runner slides past the base and makes contact with or alters the play of a fielder is an illegal slide. Again, this is an exception at home plate because there's nowhere else to go. Right, it's also not raised out of the ground, so you can slide past home. The runner slashes or kicks the fielder with either leg. If the runner tries to injure a fielder, or if the runner on a force play does not slide on the ground and in a direct line between 2 bases. This is a force play slide rule. Get into this soon. Okay. The penalty for all of these, the runner is out. If the runner is already out, the batter runner is out on a double play ball. Okay. Any questions? We'll talk force play slide rule on another one, deep dive into it, but this is just the definition of an illegal slide. All right. Continuing slides. Runners are never required to slide. Say it again, they are not required to slide, but if they do so, they must do so legally. Okay. Hurdling or jumping over a fielder is only legal if a fielder is lying on the ground. So if they hurdle or jump over a fielder, it is technically an illegal slide. They're out. Okay. Let's talk about the definition of a force play slide rule. Like I said, they're not required to slide. That runner being forced from second to third on a double play ball, or third, or second to third, or first to second, doesn't matter. Can be both. This usually happens at second, not third. They can either slide legally in a straight line between the bases. Sorry, 3 options. Slide away from the fielder. So if the shortstop comes across second base and goes towards the right side of second base, they can slide into, towards left field or towards the opposite direction, or they can peel off and completely avoid the play. If they continue to run towards second base or peels off into the fielder's throwing lane and affects the fielder's ability to make a play, this is also interference. The batter runner is also out. It is a double play. It is considered the force play slide rule. Okay. This is a big one. Should be called probably more often. Okay. So force play slide rule from NFHS, the runner is out when he illegally slides. On a force play, the runner is also guilty of interference. The batter runner is also declared out, and all other runners must return to the base occupied at the time of the pitch. There are some really, really good examples for NCAA baseball, but their rule is a little bit different. I'm not going to go into it, but that's why I'm not showing it here. So if you're comfortable in both, there are some really good examples to check for college baseball that show safe zones and not safe zones. Okay.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Steve, does the shortstop or the second baseman actually have to throw the ball?
They do not have to throw the ball.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Playing terms definition, strike zone. Space over home plate, which the top is halfway between the batter's shoulders and waistline.
Hey, Steve,
Yes.
I got a question. On that little graphic you put up at the bottom, it said on the force play slide rule. So if we declare it force play slide, if it was a runner on first and second, and it was a double play in the middle, we make the call the guy, the batter runner out, and then we put the guy that was on second back at second.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right, strike zone. Talked about the top, the bottom is the batter's knees in a natural batting stance where they shrink up and get really tiny. I think the Little League World Series had an example of this where the kid kind of put his elbows on his knees, and doesn't matter. It's based on a natural batting stance. Okay. Any questions about playing terms or definitions? We've got a series of questions here next, and then that'll wrap up our first night. So any questions before we move on? All right, moving on. All right, rules question number 1. The pitcher singles to right field at the beginning of the 3rd inning. Courtesy runner number 1 is inserted for the pitcher. In the 4th inning, the catcher hits a double, and the head coach wants to insert courtesy number 1 for the catcher. The umpire restricts the coach to the bench dugout for attempting to insert an illegal substitute. Does not allow courtesy runner 1 to run for the catcher. When courtesy runner 1 was assigned to the pitcher in the 3rd inning, he was locked into courtesy running for the pitcher only. Removes the catcher from the game, and CR1 becomes the new catcher. Allows CR1 in for the catcher. Who wants to take a guess?
I'm saying number B.
B does not allow CR1 to run for the catcher?
Yes.
All right. So courtesy rule runner number 2. Yes, this is the actual rule number, by the way. Courtesy rule runner rule number 2. The same individual may not be used for both positions, pitcher and catcher, during a game. So yes, we do not allow him to run for the catcher. The coach has the option to substitute that number 1 for the catcher. Okay. He has the option. Rules question number 2. When a batted ball contacts the batter while he's in the batter's box, he is declared out. A strike is charged to the batter. It's a foul ball. The ball is live and in play, or it is declared to be a no pitch. So batted ball hits the batter in the box. What's the call?
B.
B. Rule reference is 216.1. Foul batted ball hits the batter. A foul ball is a batted ball that hits the batter in the batter's box. Yes. A strike is charged to the batter as a foul ball. All right. Rules question number 3. Does striking the base running glove constitute a batter being hit? This is a test question, hence the link I have, and I'm going to try to pull it up right now.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
How much more you got? I got to check out.
About 10 minutes.
Okay.
Or less. that. I am just pulling up my test so I can get this link.
Hey, Steve, I'm assuming you're saying the base running glove is the sliding glove they use in their back pocket.
It is the sliding glove. Yep.
Okay.
Here. This is the video. Okay. Ball gets pitched. Hits that glove. Okay. We'll watch it one more time so it doesn't stutter. Ball gets pitched. Hits that batting glove. What's our ruling? No, the base runner glove is not a piece of equipment. The base running glove is part of the batter's clothing. The base running glove is part of the batter's person, similar to batting glove sticking out of the pants pocket, or B and C.
I say B and C is Jeff.
B and C. All right. So 811. A batter becomes a runner with the right to attempt to score when the pitch ball hits the batter or batter's clothing. In the rule, it says if a batter permits a pitch ball to touch oneself, or if the umpire calls a pitch ball a strike, hitting of the ball. Right? If the batter's loose garment, such as a shirt, is not worn properly, it is touched by a pitch ball, the batter is not entitled to first. Here is the interpretation from NFHS Online. Okay, directly from their website. The batter comes to bat with a sliding glove tucked in the back pants pocket. A pitch is thrown as the batter turns to avoid it. The pitch hits the sliding glove. The ruling is it is a hit batter and the batter will be awarded first base. However, preventative officiating and asking the batter to tuck the glove completely in the pants may have prevented this situation. Okay. So NFHS wants us to have them tuck the glove or remove it. Okay. So
Well, the key there, it says, go back and read that. It says if he's turning to avoid, which in that video you showed, that guy didn't turn and avoid, he stood there. So, again, is that a judgment? He didn't try to get out of the way.
Well, I think this
He
video
moved,
is clearly.
you can see he moved forward. He slightly moved forward.
This is also clearly a staged at bat.
Right.
Right. So I wouldn't
see him
go.
move forward.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he dipped his hips. Yeah. Okay. So what if he just stands there? Just stands there and the ball hits the glove. I mean, we giving him the base? We ain't giving him the base.
Well, if you wouldn't give him the base for him just standing there hitting his shoulder, then you're not going to give it to him hitting the glove.
Correct. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Also, if he has that glove tucked in his pocket and he gets tagged on that glove in the outfield, he's out on the tag. Okay. He's tagged with in situation 16 here. The batter has a sliding glove tucked in his back pants pocket. The batter hits a pitch to left center field and in an attempt to obtain second base is tagged with a shortstop on the sliding glove. The batter is out on the tag. Okay. The answer here is D, B, and C. We have 2 questions left here. I can't believe I've had to put this question on here because I actually had to look it up. Well, confirm, I should say, because this was on my test. First and third shall be 90 feet from home plate measured from the front of the base to the front edge of home plate, the middle of the base to the middle of home, the back edge of the base to the apex of home, or the back edge of the base to the front edge of home plate.
C.
Measured from the distance of first and third base, measured from the apex of home plate to the back edge of the base. So yes, it is C.
I had to look it up too.
All right, I think this is our last question. An infield fly is a fair fly that is hit before there are 2 outs and at a time when at least first and second base are occupied and can be a line drive, can be an attempted bunt, can be caught by an infielder with ordinary effort, or must be over the area of the infield grass.
C.
Must be caught with an infielder with ordinary effort. The rule reference there is 219.
But actually, that if you read the rule, it does state does not have to be an infielder.
Correct, but an infielder must be able to
Yeah,
catch it with
yeah.
ordinary effort.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be an infielder though.
Correct. Can be an outfielder. He can catch it. Outfielder can catch it. Okay, I think that's it. That is it. That is it for our first night. If you have rule questions you want us to cover, please send them to either myself. You can send them to Terry. You can send them to Rob. You can send them to really anybody on the board, Jeff. And if you guys just forward them to me, I'll make sure I put them in here for us to cover. We will have Q&As after. So if anybody has any rules questions that they want to go over, I'll certainly hang out a little bit if anybody wants to talk about a rule question they have. But that wraps up our first night. Are there any questions from anybody?
Are you going to make these accessible to us?
The recording?
Yes.
Yeah, so this recording will get downloaded, and then I will give it to Jeff. I'll give Jeff a link, and we'll get that out. I think what we did last year, we put it on YouTube, so we can certainly do that again.
Good job, Steve. I appreciate it, buddy. That was a good first night. Good.
Yeah, nice work.
Good job.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
See y'all next next Wednesday, right?
Next Wednesday, yep.
What was the one that you had to do on Thursday? Is it the 30th?
Yeah, it's the 30th.
Okay. All right, perfect. See you guys.
Does anybody have a test question they would like to go over? No? All right. Jeff, I'll send you this link as soon as I have it.
All right, appreciate it.
Thanks,
Dave.
All right, I'm leaving this meeting. When I leave, everybody gonna have to leave.
This is Rick Whittle. Do we get credit for having been on this Zoom?
What do you mean credit? This is not a required meeting.
Like an attendance, like the clinics on Saturdays and whatnot.
No, these are not part of that. Those this is you don't have to attend this. This is just we're doing this to help.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions? Because I'm about to. When I leave, everybody's gonna be gone.
I'm good on my end.
All right, I'm out.